best coaster of every letter of the alphabet. I don't really need some big intro, it's pretty self-explanatory what we're doing today. Let's get into why I see is the best roller coaster of every letter, and please keep in mind that this is opinion based. I'm going to be giving the best out of the 123 coasters I've ridden, in addition to the coaster I think looks to be the best in the world, starting with that letter. None of us have ridden all these coasters here, so don't get your panties in a wad, I guess. Also, the way I researched this was I literally sorted by alphabet and looked at every single operating roller coaster on RCDB, 229 pages of them, so if I missed something, please just let me know. It's likely that I missed at least one coaster when you're scrolling through nearly 6,000 of them. This is going to be a long video, so let's go.
A is for apple, apple.
For the letter A, the best coaster I've personally ridden is American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis, a GCI that I view to be extremely underrated. It's super fast paced and has plenty of airtime scattered throughout the ride, and overall delivers everything that you want out of a GCI. In the world though, you have some good options, but I would have to give the honor of the best roller coaster starting with the letter A to Abyssus at Energylandia. This ride may be a little bit below what we were expecting it to be, but it's still seen as one of the better modern Vekomas as it has a wide variety of elements thrown in its layout. Some might even see it as an enthusiast dream ride. Other A coasters you have Afterburn, Alpengeist, Alpina Blitz, but none of those I think look to be as well rounded as Abyssus.
B is for bull, bull.
For the letter B, I have to go with the Boss for my personal ranking. Boss, if you want to take it from an analytical perspective, sure is kinda, is clunky the word to describe it, but regardless, this has to be the most intense wooden coaster I've ridden. As for what looks to be the best in the world though, it's very close between four coasters: Boardwalk Bullet at Kima Boardwalk, Black Mamba at Phantasialand, Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds, and Balder at Liseberg. I'm gonna have to go with Balder for now because with those perfectly parabolic hills, it looks to give some fantastic ejector airtime, definitely the best airtime of any coaster starting with B, and that setting is fantastic too.
C is for cat, cat.
For the letter C, my personal favorite is Candymonium at Hershey Park. Candymonium more recently has gotten somewhat of a bad rap, and I don't get it. It has a 5-second floater hill just the same as Mako's, a 4-second floater hill, a wave turn, a fountain interaction, and some more airtime. It's by far the best beam up hyper I've ridden over Raging Bull and Nitro. In the world though, the clear choice is going to be Coaster Through the Clouds at Nanchang Sinoclan in China. This is an Intamin hypercoaster, and it's absolutely massive, featuring a 256-foot drop. It sort of combines an Intamin Giga and an Intamin Mega, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. Other than that, you have Cannibal, Coaster at Playland, and Colossus at Hyde Park, but none of those look to hold a candle to Coaster Through the Clouds.
D is for
nuts. Got him!
As for the letter D, my personal favorite is Dominator at King's Dominion. Dominator is everything you want out of the floor of this coaster, but at the same time it has a more unique feel than the other B&M loopers by packing in some cool elements to break up the inversions, like a low the ground turn or a turn over top the station. I just absolutely love the sequencing of that coaster, plus it's very smooth and very intense too. For the best in the world, it's really a two-horse race between Dinoconda and DC Rivals Hypercoaster. Both these rides I would probably have to predict to be top 10 in the world, but Dinoconda I think would have the slight edge. Dinoconda is an SNS 4D coaster located at China Dinosaurs Park. Very similar to Edgenica and Next2, but from the people who have ridden all three, which is a small number of people, but still, I've heard all of them say that this is the best of the 4D coasters as it's the smoothest and features the tightest elements.
E is for elephant, elephant.
Moving on to the letter E, there isn't really a whole lot of competition for my pick. ElToro was closed during my Great Adventure visit, so the honor has to go to Expedition Everest. This is by far my favorite mine train, my favorite Disney coaster, and overall is super underrated among roller coaster enthusiasts. It was worth every bit of that $100 million it took to build. In the world, you really have a three-way race this time with the aforementioned ElToro, the aforementioned Edgenica, and Expedition G-Force. Again, I'll have to pick the 4D coaster. It's really hard to judge these 4D coasters without having ridden one, but with how purely intense they are and how out of control they look to be, plus the fact that I have an extreme roughness tolerance, these 4Ds look right up my alley. Sorry to the other two, but Edgenica reigns.
F is for
frickin' fan freaks and your frickin' fantasies spewed out at you by frickin' Paul Merchant!
Next up, the letter F. My personal favorite F coaster is Fahrenheit. After riding Fahrenheit for the first time in 5 years this year, I got a newfound appreciation for it, as it does all my favorite things in coasters. Incredible drop, incredible pacing, incredible airtime, and it's incredibly intense. All that packed into one, and this is an easy pick for me. In the world, it's another easy pick, Fury 325. Some people might argue Flying Aces, or Flying Dinosaur, but you know what? Just shut up. It's Fury 325.
G is for gorilla, gorilla.
Moving to the letter G, my personal pick is Goliath at Six Flags Great America. This is another ride that I find to be extremely underappreciated. It may not have a whole ton of elements, but everything that is there would be a standout moment on any RMC. And it's a short ride, but getting those amazing elements back to back in a short amount of time is an amazing, surprisingly intense experience. In the world, my pick is going to be Goliath at Wallaby Holland. Goliath is pretty much your quintessential intimate mega coaster, great first drop, pacing, T-bars, some out of this world ejector airtime, and throw in some positives and laterals here and there, and you have what looks to be a masterpiece of a ride. I will say that there are some coasters I think like to be close to Goliath at Wallaby, namely Ghost Rider, Gold Striker, and Goliath at Over Georgia, but my pick has to go with Wallaby Goliath.
H is for hat, hat.
Now we're well into the video and onto the letter H. Surprisingly, I actually haven't ridden very many H coasters. The best one would be Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. I can't really comment on the forces that a lot of people seem to love here because I last rode this ride when I was 11 and not an enthusiast, but I remember loving this ride so much, just wanting to get back in line again and again, which I did because it was a station wait when I was there. For the best in the world, there's some good competition with Hades 360, Helix, and Hyperion, but I'm gonna have to give my vote to Hakuge and Nagashima Spaland. For a while, I wasn't very high on Hakuge for some reason, but I just watched another POV and yeah, this has to be a top 5 RMC, enough said.
I is for igloo, igloo.
Moving on to the letter I, my pick is Intimidator 305, and this is the first instance where a coaster I have for the best I've ridden is what I believe to be the best in the world as well. I, surprisingly enough, is actually a decent letter for coasters. You still have Iron Rattler, Ice Speed, and Incredible Hulk. But yeah, it feels like you're absolutely blazing through this ride because, well, you are. It's probably the best sense of speed that I've experienced on any coaster, even better than Millennium Force. Then you throw in some airtime and the triple snaps, and what the heck, man. This is my personal number 3 coaster overall for a reason.
J is for juice, juice.
For J, my personal favorite would be Jersey Devil. I got one ride on this in the summer in the front row, and then 5 more recently during Holiday in the Park, a few of which were towards the back. And these Holiday in the Park rides were awesome. First half was amazing as always, but because the trims are now disabled, I got some good airtime in the second half, including a surprise pop of ejector descending the mid-course. In the world, I'm gonna have to go with Jungle Trailblazers for the best J coasters. These are a set of wooden coasters in China, and I know they vary in layout and quality, but they're all top of the line wooden coasters. And I already made a video going through each one individually, so I'll just lump them together for this video. Your only real competition with them would be Yonker at Powerland.
K is for kangaroo, kangaroo.
For K, I have my personal favorite coaster at Great Adventure that I rode, King Dakar. 128 miles per hour, 418-foot vertical drop. I mean, those are the only 2 things that really need to be said, to be honest. King Dakar has to be the biggest adrenaline rush of my life. For the world, the choice is easy for this one, it's Conda. There really isn't anything that looks to come anywhere close. I used to think that this would be the new best coaster in the world, and I have backed off of that statement, but still, this ride looks like if you combined Expedition G-Force with an RMC, and it's probably in my top 3 of bucket list coasters anywhere. It's an enthusiast dream ride.
L is for lion, lion.
For L, the best coaster I've ridden would be Lightning Racer or Hershey Park. I know Lightning Racer gets a lot of crap, but I honestly really like it. This year I found it to be giving some pretty solid airtime and laterals in the back of the train, and the racing is executed perfectly. Thunder might nearly always win, but it's also nearly always a close race. I love the interactions between the trains, and this adds a cool aspect that only one other GCI offers. L is a very strong letter for roller coasters, the most notable runner-up being Let Coaster for the world, but my pick is going to have to go with Lightning Rod. Even after the retrack, this ride still looks absolutely insane. Some of the strongest airtime anywhere. The setting may not be as good as it was before, but it's still an amazing setting, and come on, it's a launched partially wooden coaster. That's awesome.
M is for monkey, monkey.
For M, it was an easy pick for me, and I went with Millennium Force and Cedar Point. If you ever want to feel like you're flying, ride Millennium Force. That'll do the trick. I get it's not the craziest roller coaster out there, but the feeling it gives you is unlike anything else. This is probably the most purely fun roller coaster that I've ever ridden. As for the world, I would still go with Millennium Force. And yes, that does mean that I would take it over Maverick. Yeah, I warned you that there would be unpopular opinions here. Call me a Cedar Point fanboy, call me soft, call me whatever you want. Millennium Force is and will always be one of my all-time favorite roller coasters.
N is for nose, nose.
For the letter N, my pick is a ride that, yeah, I think it's pretty overrated, but still an awesome ride that I was willing to ride 19 times in one day. Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Personally, I've never found Nitro to have the airtime strength to match the other hypercoasters I've ridden, except for one random back row ride where the trims were completely disabled. That was awesome. But anyways, I've never found the airtime all that special. That Helix though. The Helix is superb, one of the most intense elements I've experienced, and it's easily the best part of the ride in my opinion. In the world, my pick for the letter N might be a bit of a surprise to some of you, but I have Nevis guessing it is Fanbowl. Surprisingly, competition wasn't very tight for the letter N. The next three best I would have to guess would be Nemesis, New Texas Giant, and Nighthawk. But anyways, Nevisgassen is an intimate blitz coaster that's actually somewhat reminiscent of Stormrunner with the top hat, then a few inversions, some awesome airtime moments, great pacing, and that's all combined with an awesome setting in the heart of Istanbul.
O is for...
Oh yeah! Uh-oh. Huh?
As for the letter O, I actually have not yet ridden a coaster that starts with O, so obviously no pick there. The O collection is not very deep, but it's pretty good at the top list with Orion, OCT Thrust, Osiris, and what I'm personally picking as the best O coaster in the world, Outlaw Run. Personally, I love a good setting on a coaster, and Outlaw Run might have one of the best settings out there. I'm sure this ride is absolutely amazing at night. Plus, it's simply an elite layout on top of that, so it's going to be pretty hard to beat.
P is for...
I'm pushing P.
P is yet another letter that I haven't ridden very many coasters from, so I guess the best one would be Pandemonium at Six Flags St. Louis. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pandemonium is a super fun spinning coaster that offers some surprisingly good airtime, but it's not really a ride that I would expect to be in a video like this, especially considering how stacked the P collection is for the world. In the world, I would guess that the best P coaster would be Python and Bamboo Forest, but you also have Phantom's Revenge, Phoenix, and Pyrenees, so it's a toss-up. But Python is a wooden coaster located at Nanchang Sunukland, the second coaster from that park to be featured in this video. But anyways, the ride is 5,111 feet long. That's absolutely nuts. This is a GCI. Most GCIs are around 2,500 feet, and this is more than double that. Plus, I hear the forces on it are really good too.
Q is for question, question.
Now for the letter Q, yeah, I haven't ridden a Q coaster, and the only one in the world worth mentioning is Quantum Leap, the Vekoma Giant Inverted Boomerang in Sochi, Russia. You ever just forget that the letter Q exists? I know I do.
R is for ring, ring.
For the letter R, my personal pick is yet another B&M Hyper, Raging Bull. Raging Bull has a lot of dead spots, but the airtime is super strong for a B&M Hyper, so all those moments are amazing and carry the ride. I know you've heard it before, but I have to reiterate the fact that the first drop in the back row is superb. For the world, the letter R is pretty stacked with rides like Railblazer at California's Great America, Renegade at Valley Fair, Ride to Steel at Darien Lake, but the pick has to be Ride to Happiness. Mock Rides has always been known to make their rides more GP friendly, aka not as intense, but I guess they just said to heck with that for this ride. It's like they combined Time Traveler with an intimate blitz coaster. There's a flying snake dive on this thing. A flying snake dive on a spinning Mock Rides coaster. What the heck, man?
S is for sun, sun.
For the letter S, we get to my number one overall, Steel Vengeance. Yeah, I know having a number one is basic, but it's basic for a very good reason. It's because this ride is freaking amazing. 27 seconds of classic RMC ejector airtime. 27! You have some other good S rides like Skyra, Storm Chaser, and Shivering Timbers, but Steel Vengeance is of course going to take the cake for both me and for the world. Moving on.
T is for 10, 10.
T is another absolutely stacked letter, and another one where the best one I've ridden I think looks to be the best in the world. That coaster is Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. It's literally mini Steel Vengeance, airtime, and more airtime, plus some inversions, but it doesn't feel repetitive because it manages to find a way to give you ejector airtime in pretty much every way possible. In the world, you have some close competitors including Taiga, Time Travel, and T-Express, but my vote is still gonna have to go with Twisted Timbers.
U is for umbrella, umbrella.
Now getting towards the end of the video, and some of the lesser used letters, we have the letter U. Personally, I have not ridden a U roller coaster yet, so no pick there. In the world, there's really only one option, and that's Untamed at Wallaby Holland. Nothing else really comes close. Take pretty much everything that I just said about Twisted Timbers, and Untamed looks to do that even better. Plus, it has a bit more variety, as it features the most inversions of any RMC with 5.
V is for van, van.
For the letter V, I have ridden a coaster, that one being Vertical Velocity at Great America, so that's going to take this spot. If they rename it to Flash Vertical Velocity, which I'm guessing they will, it won't be eligible anymore, but for now it's here. The initial launches on these impulse coasters are extremely punchy and better than their stats might give them credit for, and I actually did prefer this ride to Wicked Twister slightly because I really like the straight back spike, it provides some great float airtime. In the world though, yet again there's only one option, Velocicoaster. If I had to pick a perfect roller coaster, this would be it. I mean, I think that looks to do pretty much everything great, and it strikes that enthusiast GP balance perfectly. This is Intamin's best work yet in my opinion.
W is for
Where's the lamb sauce?
For the letter W, for me, it would be Wild One at Six Flags America. This ride is extremely underrated as it's 105 years old, yet somehow it's still so smooth in a non-wheel seat. The airtime is great too, but for me the highlight is the laterals. There's pretty much no banking on this ride, so every turn, especially the ones on the return run and the final helix, gave some of the craziest laterals anywhere. You have some really good options for the best in the world, including Wonder Woman at Fiesta Texas, Wooden Coaster Fireball, and Wicked Cyclone. But my vote has to go with Wood Coaster at Night Valley in China. If you're a fan of GCI, this will simply be your dream ride. It's built on the side of a mountain, and beyond that, it probably has the best layout of any of the GCIs, at least from the looks of it.
X is for bucks, x, x, bucks.
For the letter X, I was surprised to realize that I have ridden an X ride, that ride being X Flight at Six Flags Great America. This wing coaster has some flaws, like it's pretty bumpy and I think that takes away from the wing coaster experience, but those head choppers are way better than the keyholes on Gatekeeper, and it's much more intense than Gatekeeper I found. It's an awesome ride despite its flaws. For the best in the world, it's a two-way Southern California race between X2 and Magic Mountain and Accelerator and Knott's, but I'm gonna have to go with X2. These 4Ds just look right up my alley.
Y is for yellow, yellow.
The letter Y I have not ridden a coaster from, and the only two in the world really worth mentioning are Yukon Striker and Yankee Cannonball. Yukon Striker looks like it would take it for me because I absolutely love dive coasters. They might not be forceful, but they're just pure fun, and Yukon Striker is the largest of the dive coasters.
Z is for zoo, zoo.
And now, the last letter of the alphabet, there's really 3 quality Z coasters, Zeus, Zippin' Pippin, and Zadra, and this is yet another clear choice. Zadra is a bit different than most RMC boxes, but with that being said, it has the potential to maybe be the best in the world. It's Zadra, and that's all that needs to be said about it. So that's about going to wrap up this video. Wow, that was probably my longest video yet, but my hope is that it'll also be the best, and the videos are only going to get better from here. If you want to tell me some of the best coasters for a few letters for you, let me know down in the comments. Also leave any suggestions, thoughts, or video ideas down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.